To tell us who you are, what you're about. So, Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Scott. I've been working in the typography and web typography space for like about 15 years now.
Wow.
So it's been a while. I started out actually doing typeface design. I worked for a small foundry called Darden Studio.
Awesome.
They did Freight and Omnis and things that you might have heard of.
Yeah, I definitely heard of Freight. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then I worked at with Roger Black on some project called Tree Saver, which was like an algorithmic page layout system for the web, like early days of the iPad. So we did like magazines and stuff.
That's awesome.
Then I worked at Vox Media, where did like SB Nation, The Verge, launched Vox.com, that kind of work, and worked with Tim Brown on modularscale.com. You got to put the www in there for it to work because of a DNS issue. But
that's a weird slogan that you made for that site, but
yeah,
it works out.
It's yeah, I worked on the SaaS version of that, so got into responsive typography. Mike Rothermiller came out with his sort of fluid typography approach, and then that turned into CSS locks, and then Clamp came out. But yeah, Typetura is kind of where I see things going, and I'm really super stoked about it. Quit all my day jobs and am focused 100% on it. So yeah, really excited to talk about it today.
That's super cool. Yeah, I've always held that creating fonts is one of the hardest things to do well. Like yes, you can. There's plenty of like resources to like turn your handwriting into a font or whatever, but creating a really well-designed typeface, I think, is one of the most like specific skills just to make something that looks. I mean, I don't know. Am I way off? Is it easier than it looks?
It's incredibly time-consuming, and it does take some skill. I think one of the best ways to think about it from like a web dev and design perspective is it's the OG design system. So when you're
makes sense
creating a font, the first thing you start with is something called test word, and that is HODNOP, uppercase HOD, lowercase NOP. And if you look at the forms of those characters, the H has all the vertical characters and how those vertical strokes, how those vertical strokes meet. The D has a curved character and how the curves meet the straights. The O has curves.
I want to bring this up if we can.
Yeah.
What am I searching for?
Just you can type HODNOP in any font on your screen, and
okay. I googled it and they're like, "Did you mean Hondo?" No. All right, cool. Let me go to Google Fonts, and let's pull this up on the screen. Let me see. Manny, I will definitely get you Scott's socials in just a minute. Thank you for asking. So all
uppercase
all caps?
H, yeah, all caps HOD, lowercase NOP.
Thank you. This is interesting. I've never heard of this. But
It's something that type designers do, you know? So yeah, there's...
You were saying...
I mean, the second one doesn't really illustrate it, but the first one, yeah, there sticks to math does it. So the H... See, there's the vertical strokes.
Okay.
Then there's that horizontal stroke on the H. The D has that transition from vertical to curved strokes. And then the O has like all curved strokes. And then the N has, again, sort of vertical, and then how that transitions
into this curve.
Into that curve. The O is all the curves. And then the P, you're getting the bowl. So that then you can build, that that full loop there. And so you can take these forms and start to use those as micro components, and you can make the B out of this. So like you
so once you design these, it unlocks the rest of the font pretty much?
There are a few exceptions. The lowercase a and the lowercase g are somewhat specialized. The A and the V are also related and not related to many things else. The uppercase A and the uppercase V.
Maybe like a lowercase y too. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that
but
feels funky.
you start to
That's so cool though.
you start with HODNOP, and then you start to build out. You get to hand gloves, which is, I mean, this is all for Latinic languages. There's plenty of other languages.
I think this is fascinating though.
Yeah, it's really fun, really meditative. It takes forever because think about drawing this and then thinking about bolds, italics, all the other weights and styles that a typeface might have. And it gets to be a lot of work.
And then there's just like relationships between like X height and I forget what the height of the capital letters are. I did graphic design like a million years ago, so like I can pretend like I know what I'm talking about, but not really anymore. But yeah, it just always seemed like such a difficult thing to get right and to look good. Like, you know, like it's one thing to make a logo like one word look good, but then to make it look good in an entire book, right? Like just like paragraphs and paragraphs, like to have those lines not like have one letter that like juts out and just that's gross.
Spacing is the hardest too. You see a paragraph of text and then there's like 1 pixel off and you're just like, that spacing there just not quite right.
Vertical rhythm is something that we might get into today. Is that true? Am I lying there?
Not really.
No, I'm lying. Cool.
Yeah.
Scott, you're off the show.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So vertical rhythm is. I think I should let you explain vertical rhythm. It's fine that we're not touching on it, but just in case someone's like, what are they talking about?
Yeah, vertical rhythm is often associated with baseline grids. So a way to mathematically add some kind of consistency to your vertical spacing. So there's lines of text in Latinic scripts and many other horizontal based scripts, left to right and right to left. And those need to be spaced a certain way. At the moment, I tend to let my eye be the judge of that. And I've moved away from more mathematical approaches to that. But it's baseline grids are really important when you have 2 columns of text. So in lots of times in footers or in sort of magazine style layouts or newspaper style layouts, it's weird to see just like there's these lines of text and just like have them kind of be a few pixels off.
Right.
It's strange. You kind of just want them to be right next to each other so that there's that kind of flatness, this consistency of grid lines across the page. So it is really nice to have in those situations, but for the most part on the web where things are kind of scroll based, I think it is, and we don't have any really great tools on the web to handle it. You throw an image in there and your vertical rhythm is totally thrown off.
Yeah.
So it's more maddening than helpful in my personal opinion.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm not trying to take you down a road that you don't want to go down, because I know you've got a lot for us already, and I'm pretty excited to get into it. So I dropped. Manny, that's funny. I'll put it on screen for you, Scott. So basically, I've been aware of you, Scott, I think primarily through Typetura these last couple of years. I've always loved Typetura's homepage, and I think it really explains it well. I want to pull it up. So this, first off, I remember asking you on stream before how you did this. Can you explain? Because I was like, oh, that's an iframe that they're resizing, I think. And you're like,
So we'll dive a lot deeper into this in a little bit, but everything is based on specific context. So think like interpolated container queries is what we're going to get into. And this is a div that is a container, and each of the pieces of text in this are a container. So that's one text style for all of those headlines there. There's not like, see that headline is really big right now, and that
So this
text
one
is bottom.
and this has the same CSS applied to it.
Exactly.
Wow, that's cool.
So that is all sort of context specific.
That's cool.
And yeah, that's done with a div, just resizing, and then there are min max. Yeah, there are min max things on the bottom, so that grid has like min max applied and then auto populate.
Awesome. That's super cool. And just want to say hi to the people in chat. I saw Steph is here. Ed says definitely a lot of respect for typography people. Same. I feel like it is such an art that, like Scott said, that he doesn't need to stick to any kind of mathematical thing anymore. And I think that's mainly because you've developed an eye for it, the same way that, like, you know, lots of artists or even like interior decorators, like all those kinds of things. Like once you develop an eye, you can kind of do things a lot more automatically rather than need to stick to something. You know, like even in photography, like the rule of thirds or like specific things where it's like always put your subject here. Once you get good enough, you can kind of know when to break those rules, right? Or you just develop an eye and you know why something works. So it just takes time, I think. But yeah, so and Nuha is here. IVIIXIO. I need to find a quicker way to say that, but I'm so glad you are here. Killian is here. Fantastic people in the chat. Thank you for being here. And yeah, I agree. Scott does some fantastic stuff. So, Scott, do you want to talk about Typetura a bit more rather than have me stumble through it, or do you want to jump to something else? Happy to, yeah.
Yeah, just one. Well, yeah, I guess one more note is like there are a few different product offerings. So I, noticed the chat. I forgot your handle, but something about like copyrights. We have like the base level JavaScript that is free to use. So you can add that to your website, and all of our products are built on top of that. So you have packages up on the screen right now.
Right.
One of the really cool things, because we are context aware, we can see, all right, where have you dropped in this particular text component? And then that gets typeset for that, wherever that is. So that means we can, for the first time, deliver typography, not just fonts, to your website.
Okay.
Which is exciting. That's we have a patent on that. It's not a patent on you using Typetura. It's a patent on being able to like distribute it to third-party websites. So like that would be something that if Adobe Typekit wanted to get into this business, they would need to be afraid of the patent, not you using type. Yeah, exactly. Not you using Typetura. Not something that you would need to get into.
My lawyers are terrible. I'm glad to hear that. Right, we can continue with today. That's good.
But yeah, so we have the packages. That's an exciting product that we are rolling out, and then there's enterprise stuff. So
cool.
I've been doing this forever. I would love to help other people on this, but again, like all of this is built on the JavaScript that is freely available for you to use.
Got it. So let me try to say this back so that I know I understand that, and you can correct me if I don't, because there's a good chance I don't. My understanding is that Typetura, kind of like under the hood, so to speak, is an open source, and I'll drop this in chat, open source bit of JavaScript, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And that is available for me to drop on my website. I don't have to pay anything. And I'm able to use this without any limits, without talking to your lawyers. And it's a way for me to kind of like choose my own typography. So for instance, on the front end horse site, I have Recoleta and Poppins as my two fonts. Yep. I can add Typetura and set up a config file of some sort and make it so that across my site it responds appropriately in the way that I'm expecting from this website. The like Typetura Inc. or I'm not sure if you have a name for
LLC. If you want to get technical,
the LLC, right? So like the business of Typetura is that we take that JavaScript kit, and on top of it, we are typography experts. We're coming in and we're going to help you not have to spend all day tweaking and refining all the different elements of a website. Because like when you have a site, like you've got to figure out the little, you know, like what size is that date in relation to everything else? What, you know, like what font are we using for the headings? All these typography decisions, you're selling, and I could be totally wrong. You're selling like these packages that are like, hey, we've gone through, we've done the math, we've figured out the relationships and the weights of everything. You can pick this up and drop it in your site today, and it's going to look great. Is that?
Yeah, that's right. We're building products on top of this
Awesome
foundational free to use product. So yeah, and what I would love to do with you today is go through the free to use product and you know, the JavaScript and
awesome.
build something.
I'm excited. Cool. And chat, first time ever, I understood a thing. So hey, I mean, we're off to a good start with this. I set a thing back, and Scott is either being too nice or just didn't want to correct me on it. So
we're gonna get weird soon enough. So
perfect. All right, cool.
Don't worry.
Leah, so good to see you. Thank you for coming through. All right. So what do you want to show first, the CodePen or the Figma file?
Let's look at the Figma file.
All right, cool. So I love this, and we're going to spend a minute just appreciating this, I think. You whipped this up? Is that like, that fair to say? Scott, this is gorgeous. This is a gorgeous site. The fact that you made this for this stream, I'm just blown away, because this is, I love it. I love so much of it. This short, I mean, like the puns and the copy alone is so good. Trost, you put that there so that I would say it on air, didn't you?
Maybe.
Trost trots to TypeScript. It's so good. Gallop into the amazing new world of CSS. Like, chat, like how gorgeous is this site? If you open this, you know, like on a new Vox Media site or something, you wouldn't blink twice. Like this is really stylish, and I just want to appreciate that this is really thin, and you're telling me, or I'm assuming here, that when I scale my browser down, by the time we're done, this thin heading font is going to turn into this, and then turn into that, right? Because it's the same text across. I'm excited for this. This is super cool.
And some of that's like a freebie, some of that's going to be managed, and we'll dig into that in a little bit. But yeah, there's where to start here.
Yeah, tell me what you want to point out, or
where I started would be with any design is I would start with identifying what the various text components are. And historically you might be like, all right, so there's this component at the top that's our lead, and that has like this big title, and then there's
is that this or this?
That's what I would call the masthead. So yeah, the masthead, there's that, and then this horse sure knows how to code would be our lead, and then below that there are supplementary articles. So there's sort of the trending topics kind of area of the page. And would
that be this or this?
I would
the one on the left. Cool.
That list trending topics kind of area. And then to the right of that, there are the two other kind of smaller featured entries.
Awesome.
And in that, there are different headline styles. The text that is the like paragraph below them is also slightly different size on each of them to just work in those different parts
like
of the layout.
This and this are different?
Yeah. Just slightly different styles.
Yeah.
So historically, you would have to write new styles for each of those different components.
Right.
And then as we go to the right on this, so there's all these other screens that we would have to style our text for.
Yeah.
We're not going to do any of that. What we are going to do is we're going to audit all of these different components. So this is a primary headline. This is a masthead. This is some meta information, and this is some our
like this is meta
entry
information
paragraph. Yeah,
got it. And our paragraph, cool.
yeah. So those are the components that we are going to style, and with Typetura, that is going to just go across all of these screens, all of these different parts of the layout, and it'll work everywhere.
Awesome.
So that's super exciting because these are somewhat complex, typographically complex. And
yeah, you definitely didn't give us like an easy one. Like this is
don't want to make this easy.
yeah, so take me some time to work out that. As you said, these would each be their own style.
Right.
Yeah, this is really cool. I'm excited for this.
Cool. Yeah, and then a quick way to make something look print is to add a multiply filter to it, because that looks like that overprint with ink or like
the equestrian thing. Yeah, that's clever.
So
That's a
quick
great
tip
effect.
for anybody who is interested. Multiply is the best way to make something look like that old school printy aesthetic.
Nice. That's a good tip. I like it. Yeah, the style's just really nice. It's very clean, great colors. Awesome.
Awesome.
Cool, Scott. I'm ready to dig in. I'm excited to see how this all works out.
Fantastic. Ready to hop over to the CodePen then?
Cool, let's do it. So you've got a much less pretty setup here, where this is just our HTML and a little bit of CSS, but I don't think we're even applying any of the CSS yet, right? This is just straight up.
Correct.
What's the style sheet? The user agent, right?
Exactly.
This is just coming from that.
Yes, exactly. There are a few things that I have set up in this pen. So it doesn't look like you can go into the settings here, but if you inspect the iframe there, yeah.
Cool. And just real quick, we do have a couple questions from chat. If you want to hit these real quick. Can, and if so, when one can go too far with too many different styles of font sizes, font weights, etc., when is it too much? Yeah, I definitely have seen this happen.
Yeah, you want to maintain some degree of consistency across your document, and I might have gone a little too far with particularly the text sizes being slightly different with the different headings. I try to approach design, particularly typesetting, as a practice and proportion. So instead of thinking like, all right, this is going to be 72 pixels, that's the best size for it. I think about,
Like
is this going to, this headline needs to be bigger than the text, as opposed to this needs to be this particular size. And also it needs to have a certain proportion to the whatever container it's in. Like if I had a large TV, I would have so much more room than if I had like a small phone.
Right.
And you'll notice that when using modular scales, like Utopia does this, where they tend to turn the ratio down as utopia.fyi is the tool that I'm referring to. They turn the ratio down as your screen size gets smaller, and they turn the ratio up as your screen size gets bigger.
So it's like a linear change. It's like a quadratic or something.
It's exponential, but yeah,
exponential. Yeah.
I think you type design with there's the calculator. That's the thing.
Typography.
Yeah, and then click on generate preview at the bottom, very bottom.
Cool. Thanks. Visualize the scale.
Right.
Cool.
So
scale it a bit.
if you go down a certain size, the top will get smaller and the bottom will sort of remain consistent.
Got it. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, so right now it's at 1480. It's not falling by much. Now it's at 14.58, and now it's done.
Yeah.
Moving. Yeah, these things are cool.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah. So there's the two different like methods of proportion. Relative to all of the different sizes of text on the page, particularly the body text, and then relative to the amount of space you have to render it. Yeah, so I focus on that and then try to hang on to the utility of how does this particular thing work, and centering myself on that utility. Don't make any changes unless there is a reason to make a change.
Cool.
And yeah, that has been how I've stayed in check. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. No. And I think I can speak for Ed here, and I don't think Ed was like, oh, this is too many styles. I think most people like myself who were like, want to get more into design, want to be better at it. We struggle with like, all right, how many fonts should I pack in here? I love this font and that font's cool. And what about should I do 10 weights? Probably 10 different weights, right? And so it's like, it's that rule thing again, where I think the rule is commonly given that just stick to 2 fonts max and just a couple weights, right? But you, once again, have some experience and you kind of know when you can break in and out of like a set rule.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I even, a lot of people talk about font pairing, and that's also a term that I don't use. I use instead font palettes.
Okay.
Because font pairing implies that, all right, to be good at that, you need 2 fonts or more or less, or 2 fonts. And then type palette implies that, all right, if you're using like a monochrome color palette, you can use sort of one color and use that well everywhere. You can use one font and use that well everywhere. So type palette affirms your choice for using just one typeface in a project if that meets the utility needs of all of your work. And for this project, we're going to be using just one font.
Awesome.
So
I didn't even realize that. I think that I thought that those were 2 different fonts, but now I see it. That's really cool.
yeah, it's a variable font called Francis. Francis, something like that.
I had not used this one before. I've used Inter a bunch, but not this one, so I'm excited. Cool.
Poppins actually comes in a variable font as well.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think I knew that.
Yes. So
I love this alt text, by the way. A handsome young horse in front of an expansive sky. Accurate. I mean, you can't. He's not lying, chat. So
gotta write good alt text.
We are inspecting for what exactly?
So go up into the head.
Okay.
And then there's the standard viewport meta tag. Where's that? There it is. So threw that in there as usual, but above that, there's something else that you might not have seen much. Right above the viewport one, there's disable adaptations watch. So we're going to create a typographic system that works on your watch, and this is like the viewport tag that disables all that weird scaling that mobile devices do, where we want
like
that to happen.
Watch?
Like, yeah, your watch.
Yeah, I've never seen this.
And smaller than your watch.
Killian has written an article about it, but I have never seen this.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I'm not sure if it's web standards or not, but I throw it in there.
Yeah.
Just because awesome. I don't want Apple Watch resizing things.
Yeah.
Additionally, there's the script. So the reason why Typetura's JavaScript isn't in this CodePen is because we require you to call it in the head instead of at the bottom of the body. And the reason why we do that is the JavaScript does three things. It writes CSS that supports Typetura from happening, and we'll get into that function in a sec. It identifies, it has a mutation observer that identifies new elements being written to your page.
Oh, cool.
So it's like, all right, is this a Typetura context? Yes, no. If yes, then it has a resize observer that identifies what width that thing is. So as really new elements stream into the page, it helps with that. If you were having this at the end of the page, then there's lots of repaints and stuff like that because you're not applying these styles as the DOM populates.
Interesting. Got it. This is really cool. Okay.
So that's all that the script does. And then there's, selectors right there. So we're looking for the Typetura class right now.
So this allows me to customize this?
Yeah, so you can add in, this is my headline. Look for all H1s, look for all whatever. I tend to use classes, not H whatevers for my text. I'd like normalize all of my headings so that I can, for accessibility purposes, manage the accessibility headline tree separate from the styles that I'm applying to it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. So we can probably get into some accessibility a bit later because Nino Pepper is bringing that up a bit in chat. Just about like how there are some accessibility problems with fluid type, and he's just wondering how Typetura solves this. So I'm always happy to go on tangents and come back. I just don't want to throw off your flow. So up to you if you want to say like.
Yeah, I'm happy to address that now.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's a few issues. Clamp in particular. Yeah, there. Clamp min max. Use viewport units to scale text, and those viewport units are a constant. Whereas like your viewport is always the same width no matter how much you zoom in or out of it. And then if you apply that through calc to combined with a fixed unit, then you have like one constant with one unit that is sort of scaling up and down. And that might, or it usually does throw off your math as to what, like with Utopia you opened up earlier, they're like at this width, render at this particular size, and at this width render at this particular size.
Right.
It shifts that window back and forth because you're adding a constant with a very variable size. So that's one issue. It happens both with browser zoom, and if I set my default font size, say I have really sharp vision, so I'm going to set mine at 12 pixels, and that's my browser default, and then that's going to throw off what breakpoints I'm hitting with my clamp or LOX-based typography. Or if I set, I don't have as sharp vision, then I will maybe set my default font size at 20 pixels and then shift those where that typography lines up with my my breakpoints, shift that the other direction. So that's one issue. The other issue is WCAG success criterion 1.4.4, which has to do with browser scaling, and there are different ways to interpret it. It's currently under hot debate in terms of like, does this need to be rewritten? My argument is that it does, because even media queries have an issue with this. Yeah, that's it.
It's this one.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah, like even if you're using media queries to resize text, it depending on how you interpret it, resizing text period with any method will break the compatibility here.
Interesting.
And that's also in direct conflict with success criterion 1.4.10, which has to do with overflow and wrapping text. So if text gets too big, it's going to overflow outside of the container. Like it's easier to read something that has then been shrunk down to that container than it is to read have to scroll back and forth all the time. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's a lot of these are slight edge cases, but it's and they particularly apply as you get really, really small. But those are some interesting accessibility things that are happening, and these are all sort of in flux. They are being addressed and looked at. Because these two things are in direct conflict. So,
it's
I had not
it's
heard
interesting. About all this.
Yeah,
great questions, Chad. I really appreciate the. That's why I sent that tweet out earlier. Like, I want to get all this information because there's so much stuff that I don't even know to ask. So I really appreciate you all being here. Super cool. All right. We are going to be working with Typetura now, right? I forget where we were. It's what I'm trying to say. I don't remember where we were. So what should we do?
So we just looked at
the inspect.
We just looked at the inspect. We looked at those the three things. There's the resizing for viewport, resizing for watch specifically, and the
script,
Typetura script, and the configuration on that script. So now that's our prerequisites. Let's get into writing some styles.
Awesome. I'm excited. All right. Where to?
All right. I normally like to set up the typographic system for the entire page, just like at a base level. So here I have imported Francis, the font from Google Fonts. Now this is not using the API that is exposed on the Google Fonts website. Stephen Nixon has a really great article about it, about like the secret features of Google Fonts that is really great if you want to take advantage of all of the variable font features within a font.
Thank you for sharing.
And as you can see, your cursor's right over wonk.
Yeah, soft wonk is my nickname, so that's why
soft wonk
in here.
These are variable font axes, so we can slide the wonk, dial the wonk up or dial the wonk down.
Is wonk also a typographic term? Because I only know wonk in terms of like I'm a real geek about that thing. Like if you're like a
this is the
wonk,
same word.
You read all the political stuff.
This is exactly the same word. This is weird, wonky, funky.
Okay. So it's like different in that sense. Yeah, because wonk is just like if I do wonk, a person who takes an enthusiastic or excessive interest. Or derogatory, a studious or hardworking person. Oh, what a slam! Derogatory. Like, person studies. Whatever.
They know stuff.
Yeah, but like wonky. Got it. Okay, interesting.
So all that's in there.
Oh man,
fantastic.
Yeah, so good. Cool.
So let's apply that to our HTML elements. So I already prepped like a grid system there. Nothing's applied, but we could just add it into line 19, below line 19.
Okay. Sorry, we're doing what now? Font family?
Font family. And then Francis.
F-R-A-U-N-C-E-S. Oh,
And then
I said it, but I didn't type it right.
comma serif.
Cool.
All right, it's applied.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it is. Nice.
Awesome. Looks beautiful. Now let's just apply some basic settings. Let's make this a little bit bigger overall. So font still where you're at. Oh, you're getting distracted by the grid.
I'm sorry. Yep.
Well,
I'm back.
Okay. Let's do font size of 115%. So I like to keep it percent on the root. It's yeah. And then add some line height. I feel like things are a little too tight as default. So if you scroll down to, let's look at the paragraph. That feels a little too tight to me. So let's try 1.3. And we're using unitless line height here.
I love it. And that's essentially 130%. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Or 1.3 M's. It's the same thing.
Makes sense.
So just a little bit more in there. Not too much more. So yeah, feels.
Are you saying for more?
Or no, yeah, maybe a little more.
Okay.
Let's do 5. Okay.
Let's do it.
Or 3.5. Sorry.
Wait. 1.3. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
There we go.
Got it. Cool.
Cool.
All right, nice.
I like that. And now with that, let's start writing a intrinsic typographic style with Typetura. So
yeah.
What I like to do is let's go to the docs first and just get an overview of this.
All right.
All right. So under creating your own typographic style on the sidebar.
Creating your own.
Lower. Yeah.
That one.
Your typographic system. Yeah. So there are custom properties that feed into an animation function that is applied blanket to every single element and pseudo element on your page right now. It's not active and it's very low specificity. So animations work as you would expect if you use them currently. But if you use these and you don't override that animation function that is applied to everything, these will kick in. So TT key indicates the keyframes that you are going to reference. So this is essentially the same thing as writing animation hyphen keyframes. Max indicates the area in which you cover in pixels, and this needs to be a unitless value. But it sort of is like, I'm going to have these styles span a 1600 area.
So sorry to interrupt. We just got raided by James Quick. James, thank you so much for coming through. We are just working on some responsive typography. We're learning about Typetura with Scott Kellum. I'm really excited about this. We got a really cool setup. We're going to be making this site so that it smoothly transitions as you scale down your browser between this design to this one without any like hard media queries or jumps, using a variable font and Typetura. It's really, really cool. Scott knows so much about typography, and we've just been learning a ton. So thank you so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. Welcome everyone. So sorry about the sorry to throw you off your magic, Scott. Just
That's
gotta
awesome.
say thanks to James.
Welcome everyone. That's awesome.
Cool.
Cool. All right. So we looked at those.
You were at the docs. Sorry.
Still looking at the docs.
Sorry.
Easing. So if we're using clamp or locks or anything like that, that's always going to be linear. But we now have control over easing because this takes advantage of animations, and that's
cool.
Exciting stuff. We're definitely going to use that with this root font styling. And then bind is auto generated. You can override that if you wanted to. But that's what the JavaScript generates with the resize observer.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely some of this that I feel like I need to see it in action.
Yeah.
You control over your text styling without any breakpoints, right? That's by storing information about how text styles should respond. Yeah, the animation part, I'm not fully getting it, but I think it's one of those things that I'm gonna get once we're doing it.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so let's dive in.
All right.
All right, so first let's do a custom property of TT key, TT hyphen or hyphen hyphen TT hyphen key. And then let's call that HTML. I always like to use the exact same selector.
Like a string?
You don't need quotes on it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So just go back to the docs real quick. So, okay, so it just takes a name. Got it. And we don't need quotes. Got it.
Right.
And then a number, animation easing function. Got it. So it's going to be like in out or linear. Got it.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Sorry, just trying to wrap my head around it some more. So
we probably want this to max out at around 900 pixels wide. Okay. I think. So let's do TT max of 900.
Just no pixel.
That's it.
Cool.
And now let's write our keyframes below this HTML declaration.
Okay, got it. So just keyframes.
Yeah, this is regular CSS, so we don't have bubbling. So we need to do that below this rule set.
Cool. And I see Zach just came in the chat. Thanks for being here, Zach.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, cool. So keyframes. You want a name for this or?
HTML.
Okay.
And we need @keyframes.
Thank you.
And now let's do 0%. And set our font size on this. What do you think this is going to be? It's a trick question. It's unfair.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to strike out. That's what the show's about.
Cool.
I don't know. Would it just be like 1M or something? I'm not sure.
We're going to do 0%.
0%. What?
Yeah.
0% is 0%. Okay.
And then at 100%, let's make this a little bit bigger than our fallback value and make this font size of 125%.
So this is really interesting. So we're using animation to do the scaling in and out of things.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, it's starting to click a bit more. Okay. I think I'm getting this a bit more.
So you're good to go. You can check it out.
What? Chad, it's already doing it. As we move it, it's all. That's wild. That feels like a. Wow. Okay. Okay.
You didn't have to do any like figuring out what the calc function is going to be.
Yeah.
It's.
What's the TT max bit again? What's
so
this? Is that
as you reach a viewport width of 900 pixels, that's when it stops.
I'm so close. Here we go. I need to stop saying that.
Yeah, that's it. Stop scaling.
That's cool. Okay, and can we do a TT min also? Or can we not?
No.
Okay.
We could add like a 50% be at a certain size if we wanted to, because we're not limited to these. But now let's get into the easing curve. So you probably noticed a problem when you got pretty small.
Yeah, it gets really small.
Right, because it's going down to a font size of 0. Okay. Yeah, it's linear, right? And it goes down to a font size of 0, which is only acceptable when the browser width is 0.
Wow.
So we want this to work at the size of a watch.
Right.
So we do need it to scale down quite a bit.
Okay.
But we don't want it to scale all the way down. So I use...
Adam Kuhn just came in and is shouting, clamp it. He wants to throw clamps. Adam, have you tried Typetura yet? I have not used this yet, but this we hit the magic moment as Nino Pepper said, really fast there, where we already, just by putting this bit of we're using CSS keyframes to handle our text resizing. That alone just kind of blows my mind. Anyway, sorry, I'm just like still trying to recover. I thought we'd get to it. I
No,
didn't
we're
think it
there.
would be now. That's awesome.
We're there. It's not. It's. You know, everyone's like, it gets way too small. We got to clamp it. So let's add that easing function. And I liked Leah Vru's. Sorry, totally mispronouncing her last name. cubic-bezier.com.
Yep. As you can see, I already have one lined up. That was the one that I was working on, apparently.
Awesome.
And it won't let me out of it.
And let's make this so that the first handle goes straight up the y-axis. Not all the way up, but like maybe, yeah, somewhere around there.
There? Cool.
Yeah. And then that one, I like to usually end my curves so that they kind of like come flat out, horizontal.
It's like this?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And you could see this is pretty dramatic. So now our scaling will scale up extremely quickly of our text, and then it'll kind of level out. And we're not even going to notice that as I hit 900 pixels moment anymore, because that's going to be totally smoothed out. Okay. So we can copy that, and then...
So we just can add that to TTE. So it just takes an easing function.
That's it.
That's cool. Oh, and Adam says that he's not used it yet, but thinks he has a perfect use case for it right now. So this is on his radar.
Awesome. Excited to see it, Adam. So yeah, let's...
Some phenomenal work. Is it
see, working? You don't even notice it moving.
Wow. It is
but
working.
Then it comes in, and then it like, as it needs to, it really scales down fast, because as you're getting smaller and smaller, you need more and more of that change.
Yeah.
So this can start to be legible. You know, it'll work on as small of a screen as you possibly can. That's what I mean by like, we're designing this so that it can scale down to a watch.
But the wild thing is, like you know, seeing things scale down as I change my browser width is one thing. But kind of, I think one of the like whoa aspects of when Steph came on and showed us container queries is that you're kind of doing container queries with JavaScript. Is that kind of what we're heading towards?
Yeah,
that's cool.
They're like interpolated container queries, and this will work for things other than text if you want to get into it. But text is, yeah. All right, so we've done that, and now let's set up something else. What should we set up next?
What are my options?
Let's see. I'm itching to get the layout done.
I'm all about that.
Cool. You're getting distracted by the grid below, and now feel free to get distracted by the grid below.
Yeah, I just have a tendency to scroll through code, but I'm looking at it, so it was tough for me to stay here. And the HTML block is usually one of the more boring blocks of code. So
yeah, that's why I did it all for you earlier.
That's perfect. Cool. All right, so what do we want to hit?
All right, so this is a 24-column grid at larger sizes, and then it breaks down to 12, and then 6 as things get smaller. So if we go over to our Figma file.
Okay.
Oh, man, as much as I want to get to the largest size, I want to... let's arrange our entry blocks. Okay. So I like to do that with Flexbox and make a Flexbox thing that goes in the direction of column.
Okay. So are we just making a new class, or what am I doing here?
We already have a class on the HTML So yeah, we'll need to pull that in. I think it is, yeah, it's just a class of entry. So dot entry,
Okay.
display flex.
Cool.
So this keeps the source order so that things in the source order are a certain way, but now we can move these within
Got it.
around a little bit. So
Got
now
it. So
flex direction.
Each one of these is an entry, right? So that's
Yeah.
an entry. That's an entry. Cool.
Yeah.
Flex direction.
Column.
Cool.
Cool. And now entry hyphen date, I think we want at the top. So yes, we do.
That's
So that's a new class, entry hyphen date.
cool. We're doing
then-
order or
Yeah, order top. Or order one.
Okay.
Or whatever.
I'm like, is top a thing? Because
Or-
I just learned
I wish
things
it's-
all the time here. So I wouldn't have been surprised if order top was a thing I didn't know about.
Or sorry, it should be -1.
Okay. Cool.
All right. There it is.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's all set up now. Yeah, that's all set up. So let's get into styling these, and I am going to ask you to write a few classes now in your HTML. So what I like to do is, because all of these are going to be using the same styles, like I think I have entry byline and entry date are different classes, but we're going to use the same text class for them. So let's use meta to style those. We'll just type meta for the class.
Interesting. Okay.
And then entry headline at the
I'm keeping this bit, right? Like I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
yeah. I like
Entry
to
headline.
have my text components styled separately from my anything that's prefixed, like
Cool.
entry whatever, so that way I can reuse them in other components.
Got it.
So entry headline, we'll call that primary hyphen headline.
Got it. I see what we're doing.
Yeah, and summary is just a paragraph, so I don't think we need to change.
Okay. Like it looks good
Yeah.
as is kind of thing.
Yeah, let's leave it as is. And now we need to do that for all the other entries. So,
Oh, good. Can you do the thing?
where I help.
No, it's fine. I can't do that. The thing where you, what I was going to do is select all of them and go through and like Command D, all the things, and then type it once. So entry date meta, I'll start at the bottom. Entry.
Here, I'll do all of the ones at under the trending
Okay.
section.
Chat, help out. No. Chat, get in on this. Okay, got byline, we got date, we got byline. Okay, we're done with that one. Summary stays the same. Primary headline is the only one we need to grab. Primary entry headline, primary headline.
Cool.
All right, I think we're good, and we will find out if we're not.
I did the ones at the bottom, so we're all
Appreciate
good.
it. Appreciate it. Cool. All right. So we got those
All right.
classes now.
So now let's style those classes.
All right.
Start with primary headline. Cool. That is going to scale up. So I like to. So it's going to go from that one style at the top of that page to the style on the side of the bottom of that
This.
trending topics.
Got it. So
area,
they're all going to
yeah.
take the same
Right.
style. They're also
So
really cool.
100% would be this horse sure knows what to do with code.
Oh, we're going to keyframes again.
Yep. Yep. And then I like to do a fallback kind of somewhere in the middle.
That's wild. Okay, cool. I'm understanding the concept a bit more now. Conceptually, it's starting to click. All right, so, but we're not using keyframes.
Yeah, we are. If you
So,
want,
okay.
you're probably
So-
curious what the function looks like. So feel free to inspect and look at the function.
Where's the function?
Inspect any element on the page. And then
Oh,
go
is
to
it-
styles.
Oh,
So under the, below that, yeah, before, after HTML, it says animation. So the key is the keyframe part of that animation over a duration of 1 second.
okay.
Then the easing curve, of course, it repeats
Right.
once. And then there's that weird calc function that multiplies bind by -1 second.
second.
So that what this value is within this rule set is the delay. So if you do a negative delay, then it starts the animation at that particular point.
Okay.
And if you notice, the last value within this shorthand function is paused.
Right.
So it's paused at a certain point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely not grokking it, but
Okay.
but we should not spend the next 3
Okay.
days trying to make me understand this. If
Totally
there's a
fine.
bit of magic that's outside of my current brain capacity, I'm good with that.
It's
Yeah. The thing I get kind of lost around the -1 second times the bind. I'm not even sure what bind.
so
does.
that's the
auto-generated
auto-gen-
position. Okay, that's the position of the animation. A unitless number. Okay. Yeah.
So if we take the see, there's TT max, so the maximum value divide it, or what it, if it's like 300 pixels of 600 pixels, then that's 1/2. So half a second times -1 for a 1 second delay is, now it's starting at half a second delayed, which is the very middle of our keyframes.
yeah.
So it's paused at that point. Anyway,
Okay. Yeah.
That's- that's how that works under the hood. That's what all of these feed into.
It's as magical as I might have predicted. So that's super cool. But at the same time, not like at the same time, it's nice to see that there's not like, I don't know. I kind of assumed there was a ton of JavaScript happening, but that's why I asked where's the function, because I didn't know that that's all it was. So like, I don't get it, but at the same time, I get it more than I did a minute ago. So I appreciate you showing me that.
Awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, there's the primary headline, which we are styling.
Okay.
And
Yep.
so let's just write our Typetura style. So TT key.
Oh,
Yeah.
like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now I like to use the selector. So primary hyphen headline. Cool.
Okay.
And now let's write our keyframe values.
Okay. So this is pretty much all we're putting in this, and then the rest of the styling happens within the keyframe.
We're going to put more in there, but
Okay.
yeah, let's,
But the things that change happen within the keyframe. And
Yeah.
then we have a fallback that'll go in here.
yeah.
Got it. I'm still starting to click a bit more. Real quick, Ben says it picks the percentage through the animation that it should be and then pauses it so that the animation doesn't play.
Yep. That's right.
And Ben also says, Scott, is there a reason you like to use the selector for the key?
It makes it so I don't have to keep track of two different names for the same selector. I set it as a rule for myself after being like, this animation does this particular thing, and then I might end up with another selector using, all right, this is also a bounce function, but it's a slightly different bounce function, but it's for this other selector. And then I was just like, all right, new rule. it's always, animations are always going to be based on the selector that they are related to.
Got it. Cool. All right, that makes sense. All right, so we got primary headline here.
Yeah. And I like to start at a font size of 1 rem. Cool. And let's do size first. So we'll go up to a font size of 7 rems.
Okay.
And you could use any unit you want. So if you wanted to go up to a viewport unit value here, you could do that. You could do whatever you want. But I like to stick with rems.
Cool.
Cool. That is big. So
it's a little big.
Yeah. It's going to be big, of course. Another issue is we need to reset because that's inheriting the interpolation, the easing curve from before. So let's just throw a ease in, ease out. Ease in, out. Yes, on that.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
I think
it's going to be bigger, but it's going to be a little bit more manageable here.
Got it.
Cool. With headlines, we could do something called like set solid. So that means a line height of 1. So there's no letting between those. Yeah. And on smaller text, we might need to adjust that. Okay. We can adjust that within our keyframes, but you know what? It looks fine right now. Let's also write some font variation.
Oh, because of the
properties on this.
Because this is very thin, and then it gets a bit bolder as it goes smaller.
Yeah. So font weight will work. So let's just use font weight.
Will?
Yes.
Because of this font?
There are things called registered accesses with variable fonts.
And by accesses, you mean AXE, like IS?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, axes.
I don't know.
Whatever, however you say the plural of that thing. Yeah. Font weight, font stretch. So if you want to make something wider or narrower. And I don't know if this is a thing yet or still in draft, or there's a way to change the oblique angle of your text as well through a registered axis.
Got it.
Or that's being worked on. I forget what the status of that is.
Okay. Yeah. Just for the chat, in case you haven't used a variable font, the reason I'm asking is because variable fonts work a little bit differently in how you declare what they look like, basically. And Scott, like, can variable fonts like name their own axes, like soft and wonk, or just like that's what the font creator wanted to name those attributes, right? Is that?
Yeah, they need to be a 4-character case-sensitive value, and this is
that's why.
So there are tables
like SLNT. I'm like, why didn't you just put slant? Like SLNT is a thing. I'm like, yeah, okay, now it makes sense. Thank you for saying that.
That has to do with OpenType naming tables. If you change your OpenType settings as well, they all use 4-character codes as well.
Got it. So font weight will work just because of the way that this font has.
Because that's a registered access. Ben is asking about soft and wonk, which are not registered accesses, so we will have to use font variation settings to do that.
Those aren't nearly as nice in my experience. Just I don't know. I forget what they're named. I forget certain things. Like font weight just works easier for me.
It maps to what we've done before, so it's backwards compatible if this font doesn't load or something like that. So It works out.
Awesome.
And actually, you'll notice you type in a thing in units of 100. So let's just type in. It's going to get bolder as it gets smaller. So let's type in 500. Let's start at 500. So. Yeah, and go up to 200. Yeah.
Cool.
So this was originally supposed to be interpolable. So you used to, when whoever was figuring out like these numbers, the intent was that you could choose any value in between.
Yeah, I remember that.
In between
going straight
100 and 900.
Sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you. I just want to see this dramatic change. That's just really fun. That's so cool. I can play with this all day. I'm sorry. I'm listening. Yeah. I am listening.
I'm mesmerized as well. So that was in like an old technology called multiple master, which was like the precursor, like the old, very old school ish variable font kind of thing. Okay. And then that naming convention for the weight numbers stuck, but they're not interpolable. So why did it stick? I don't know. But it stuck, and that's why we named things like 500 instead of 5.
Got it.
Because you had that like fine-tune control, and now that fine-tune control is back, we have the numbers still, so it just works. It's really lucky that it just works.
Yeah, because like we're pretty much getting that as we do this, right? It's like going from like 200 to like 201 to 200, 300 and so on. It took us to 5.
Yep.
That's cool.
There's optical sizing is something that is, I said it was a freebie at the beginning of the stream, and it's still a freebie.
I'm glad the terms and conditions have not changed, Scott. Thank you for you're man of your word.
As you're changing this back and forth, that value, the optical size value on this font is also changing. That's a registered axis. So that is working already here.
Optical size is like, trying to think if I remember, like how big the font appears, or
so right now you see the thicks and thins, like they're delicate,
right? Like the contrast between
as that optical size goes down, that contrast kind of goes away.
Okay, so that's not a
Typetura thing. Nope.
Oh well. I was saying that's not because of the 500. That's because we're getting optical sizing.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah. The thickness of those thinner parts is getting more like the rest of it. Like as we scaled it up, chat, that the top bar of the T was very, very thin compared to the rest of it. And if I zoom out and bring this back up, you'll probably see. Yeah, see how like hair thin that is in comparison? That's really cool, Scott. Where's that coming from?
The browser just does it.
Browser, well done.
It knows that your font is bigger.
Good job.
They're like, well, might as well do this. If you are setting it manually, it maps directly to point values. So not pixel values, point values, which are slightly off. But if you want to be like, this is use the 72 point version of this font, you just do like optical size 72.
Okay.
And that pulls it. That pulls that particular style of that font. But yeah, it's a freebie. It's great. Let's dial up the soft and wonk, or dial down the soft and wonk.
Let's get some more soft and wonk in here. All right.
So I think it's
font
hyphen variation hyphen settings.
Okay, cool. Font. Yeah, like see, that was the other problem I was having, is that like I've memorized font weight, I've memorized, all the other ones that I can't just say off the top of my head, but font variation settings, like font feature settings sounds right, but font variation
settings plural. Yeah, there we go.
You go.
And now so it's case sensitive, and it is needs to be a quoted string. So let's use Yeah, quote SOFT. Yeah, that's 4, and all uppercase.
Oh,
All uppercase. Usually the registered ones are all lowercase, and the unregistered ones are uppercase.
oh. Let me just
So
go back to where you imported this. So, optical sizing is that what that is?
OPS, yeah, optical size.
Weight, and then these are like made up by the Francis creator,
Yes.
and so they added soft and wonk. But,
Yeah, it's from
okay,
undercase type,
cool.
if anyone's curious.
Italic, optical sizing, weight. Neat. Thank you for explaining that. Tanner's here. Welcome. And had some comments from O'Doyle Rules. Variable fonts are cool. I could not agree more. I love so many. Mandy, I can't think of their full name, but there's so many great variable font demos on CodePen. If chat
Mandy
knows who I'm
Michael.
talking about, I'm sorry.
Mandy Michael.
Thank you, Adam. Yeah, I appreciate it. And Scott, I think you were right there too. But Adam in the chat, thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, so many good variable font demos. They're so fun to look at. Cool. So I got font variation setting soft. What are we giving that?
So that is a range of 0 to 100.
Okay.
So I think we just... I recommend playing with it.
Okay.
I think for this layout...
Do you do colon? I can't remember how.
Nope,
what
you
the
got
exact
it.
This is okay. And what am I looking for here?
It might be more clear with...
Wonk.
With a heavier
we're
weight.
not at 0.
Oh, let's...
Should we? Let's see if we can see the. So you said it's from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see if. It feels like.
It's softer.
Yeah, the contrast between the thinnest and the thickest evens out. It's kind of like optical sizing is what it feels like. Am I off?
It's got a little bit of that feeling to it, yeah.
Yeah, like if I get rid of it, it's gonna get pretty. Yeah, it's sharp and it's more like elegant. Like this feels like an expensive perfume, and then this just feels like you're down in the range. That's how. Ask me about fonts, and I'll tell you how it feels. That's the service I provide.
That's right.
That's why people come through here. Cool. So what do we want to go between?
Let's just leave them. I think for wonk might be the one we want to dial up and down. So, and that goes from, let's increase the wonk as we go up. That goes from 0 to 1. So let's dial up to 1 at the top and 0 at the bottom.
I do like the soft though. Can we just set the...
We can keep it soft.
What happens if I do this over here? I've been wondering about this. If I do soft 100 over here, do these play nice together like this? Or is
they
one
do not.
gonna... No, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
So
Pixel and...
you gotta set them both. That's the other thing where like it's nice in that I can set a font weight on hover just as an example, but like for this it's like I have to go through and set all of the things at the same time. Like I have to turn the italics on and off. So like this API has just always been a little funky unless it's a registered thing. But
Roll Niskins, he creates a product called Wakamai Fondue, which sounds like what can my...
Yeah.
So you can drop it in, and what he does is he takes custom properties because those cascade and then plugs those into the font variation settings. So he changes the custom property values so that you can basically have your font variation settings cascade.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to see that like in practice. But yeah, what can my fondue is a very
try
cool.
Try it with Gimlet if you want
Yeah.
a quick preview.
Yeah. It just basically like unspools every tiny bit of information that you might need to know about your font. It's really, really handy.
Yeah, at the bottom, I think there's CSS output. Yeah, there it is. So this is, yeah, you could see Gimlet variable regular C2SC off, 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 so these allow you to
Oh,
turn on and off features and have those cascade, and then those get applied through a
get
function.
it. Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you said this because I didn't fully understand what you meant.
Yeah, see
Now
there.
I understand
font
what you
features.
meant. Yeah, that's really handy. Because
It's a
that's
little
yeah.
verbose for what we're doing here, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, no, ours isn't that serious, but when you're doing an entire site, and you could always shorten this, but yeah, there's so many different axes or whatever that you can play with here. Having to declare, like, imagine if you're using 5 or 6, having to declare all of those every time is a pain. So this is fantastic. I'd never thought of this. That's great. Cool. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
All right, we are getting somewhere. I'm liking it.
Great. Love it. All right.
So we got the wonk going from 0 to 1. What's the wonk doing? It goes down to 0 wonk and then up to full wonk. What does it look like at full wonk?
So it does things like the N's and H's. You see how those slant?
Yeah,
And the
is
S
the
looks like it's
S-
upside down.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's wonky. I got it. That makes sense. That's pretty cool. Okay, it adds more character to it, right? It takes it from kind of just a straight shooting serif to having a bit more personality. I like
Yep.
that. Cool.
Yep. Cool. All right.
What's up next?
Layout. Now we got to do some spacing stuff. So, yeah, that headline has too much space around it.
Yeah.
So let's do some margin of 1 rem space 0. Cool. Yeah. Now let's move on to the meta tags. So we had a class of meta.
Yeah, so this and this, the dates,
Yeah.
the authors. Cool. And we go TT key again.
I think we can just rely on our basic root settings here.
Okay.
So we could just have those styles cascade into this. But we did have those italicized
Got
in
it.
the mocks.
What's with that J? Sorry, that just
It's funky, right?
yeah, really cool. All right, so it is italicized. How are we doing that? Any fancy
Font
way?
style italic.
Cool. Wasn't sure if we need to do font variation settings, but this is a registered one, right?
Actually, I guess I should say we're using 2 fonts there. The italic is a separate
Right,
font.
I did. Yeah. So I saw you import the second one.
Mhm.
Got it. So you can't like go half italic, right?
Correct, not in this.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right. Looking good.
And let's add a margin to that of, let's just do 1 rem as well. So same, or 1 rem space 0.
Cool. So just on the top and bottom,
Yeah.
left and right. Nice.
Cool. All right. And I think that covers it for the most part. Down here, let's do, I want to get to the masthead. So let's do that.
Is it just masthead?
So, yes, I.
So we're going for this look where it's orange and it's got multiply added. Right. So
Yeah.
what's the color there?
So we haven't registered. Let's throw all the colors in our HTML. So I like to do. I'll read it off to you if you want to.
Yeah, sure.
Do it that way. So primary is what I use for that.
Okay.
And that is F4663A.
Cool. And if you want to paste anything in or whatever, we've got the collab up, so feel free to do that if you'd like.
I'll add background, alt, and text.
Okay, cool. Go for it. Yeah, and Ben was saying it looks a little more hand drawn when very soft. Yeah, it does. It doesn't feel as chiseled or whatever. Like it feels definitely more like something that I'd be able to write myself, right? Like I'd be able to. I don't know, but I do like this wonky S though. The bigger top and the thinner bottom. Like that's pretty cool. I picked Recoleta because it had personality, because it has like some character. I didn't want just like a plain serif. Like I don't know. I wanted something that was kind of soft and friendly, soft and maybe had a little bit of wonk to it. I think that might have been what I was shopping for, and that's why I kind of went for that.
They're both based on a font called Windsor.
Interesting. I always thought this was based on Cooper Black. Is Cooper Black based on Windsor also?
They're from the same era. So the reason why you see these like soft rounded edges is a result of the technology of the time. There was phototype at the time. So you'd take a picture of text. So you'd have these
like screen printing kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you've done like photosensitive screen printing,
yeah,
exact same process.
Cool.
With that, there were slightly you couldn't get that really crisp corner on the edge of things. So this is almost like a lens blur.
Yeah,
that has been added. So that's why you get this slightly rounded thing to especially 70s era fonts.
Yeah. Like I think of like Pet Shop. Is it the Beach Boys? Is that the name of that album?
Yeah. Pet Sounds.
Pet Sounds. Thank you, Pet Shop. That was the not as revered follow up. Was Pet
yes.
Shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe no. It's actually where they recorded the Pet Sounds. Was in the Pet Shop. So yeah, everyone knows that. Yeah. Like I always think of this album when it comes to Cooper Black and just the feeling of those fonts. Those soft fonts. But Pet Shop Boys. Cooper forever. Yeah, Adam did a great thing of like all of his pens from last year. And was it Cooper Black that you used for that, Adam? That was a lovely pen. I really enjoyed that. Cool. So we got primary, we got background, alt, looking good. So we're going to use these now. So primary in the masthead.
Let's do color and then primary. Oh, got to have that bar around it.
Forgetting. And then, got our primary. Nice.
And then let's do a mix blend mode. Yeah, of multiply. It's my favorite.
He used Bogart. Nice. I wish I could click that easily in this. Let me see. Just real quick. Yeah. Love this.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love the way you do that, Adam. That's so cool. Yeah, this one's lovely. Thank you for dropping that in chat. We will pop that off to the side because it's one of my favorites of yours because it has all of your greatest hits. All right. Cool. Mix by multiply. So we can't really see that happening, or it doesn't seem to do much here, but once it's overlapping, it'll be doing a lot more.
Right, right.
Cool.
So now we got to center that somehow. We could either do text align center, or we could do, yeah, let's just do that.
Cool.
And we need to make that big and flexible and fluid somehow. How are we going to do that? TT key, masthead.
Nice. Get the hang of this. Am I on the right track here?
You got it.
All right. So for chat, in case you just joined, we're creating keyframes that are actually going to animate the size of our text as we scale in and out. It's pretty wild, but that's what we're doing. All thanks to Typetura under the hood.
So let's start it at font size of, we're always going to want this to be a little bit bigger. So let's do a font size of 1.5 rems. And end at, I don't know, 8.
Cool. It's reassuring to hear someone who really knows typography just kind of go, I don't know, 8.
Yeah.
Because that's me half the time. Just like, I don't know, let's see what 8 looks like. I'm glad you're not like holding up your protractor and like navigating by the stars and then saying it's 3.75. So
yeah,
I was gonna say that's refreshing for me because I'm very much an I don't know 8 kind of guy.
Yeah.
So
that is, yeah. All right, let's.
Jim says he's gonna apply it to his own designs. Yeah, it's fantastic. I think it's also really cool. I see what you mean now, Scott, when you say like we can get you up and running with a typography system with way less code than what you have right now, because we're not writing 1,000 media queries here for every single step of the way. It's just happening. So that's awesome. I agree, Jim.
Excited to see it.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, this is, it looks like the TT max here is way off.
Yeah.
So let's TT max of 900.
Cool.
Why is that so big?
I mean, it seems like we're having more of a min issue. Is that not?
Yeah. Oh, that's why. We're inheriting the easing curve again from the root.
Got it.
So let's TTEase, and let's do ease out. So that way we end up with that nice curve at the end.
That's cool. Jim's asking, I think basically asking, what's the browser support for Typetura and these techniques?
Yeah, all modern browsers work,
cool,
including Safari.
Nice. That's such a unintended slight on Safari, but I know what you mean. All modern, any browser that normal people would use, and Safari. Just like
Well, there's some issues with viewport unit sizing on Safari, so
got it.
let's do.
I get what you mean. It's just funny.
Yeah. Let's change that up to ease in out.
Cool. All right. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so if you're having trouble with things scaling down, the solution is kind of to fix the ease on it, or fix the font sizes, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of how you can start to troubleshoot if you have these kinds of issues. I love the way that like the line in the E gets thicker. Now I can't stop looking at that. Like, Chad, are you the same way now? Like the way that E gets thinner and thicker, that's so cool to me. I'm gonna try to notice that everywhere now, Scott. I'm just gonna be staring at. Yeah. Anyway, it's gonna be a problem for me. All right.
That feels good. We have some spacing that we need to work out on
For
here
sure.
still. So let's do margin, and let's do 0.5 m,
Okay.
and then 0, and then negative 0.5 m on the bottom, because we're getting that kind of like cut that we
Overflow.
want. Yeah.
Got it.
Cool. And yeah, we'll handle the
Yeah. Still got some tweaking.
first entry.
Cool. Nice. All right.
Love it.
That's looking good.
And yeah, next up, let's.
It had a different weight. Do we want to change the weight of it? And it looks like it's a bit
It's softer as well.
Yeah.
Let's add some soft in there.
Let's do it. All right, I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to do it. All right. So wonk and soft, do we want those maxed out?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like
Sometimes you have to add a space in there for it to trigger the preview, or just like
interesting.
make an edit that is
Yeah,
not deleting or copy pasting. So delete often doesn't do it. And then
Come on, CodePen, you got this. Yeah, I think it already had flashed. Yeah, it's not. Aaron, hey, I meant to say hi to you earlier. Good to see Aaron. And yeah, Francis. It's a as you can see, a variable font that we're using. Do we need to put it? I don't know why we would need to put it there. Yeah, why isn't this?
oh, there needs to be a comma between wonk and soft.
Oh, well then all these are busted too.
Yeah, they must be.
Well, now I have no idea what to even accept. Oh, that's so soft. That's that. We're going back to the pet shop, people. This is super soft. Yeah,
I kind of love it though.
It's really nice. It's like to me, it's Cooper Black, like straight up.
It's also got like an outside magazine vibe to it.
Yeah,
Which has similar treatments.
see what 50 soft is. 50 soft's pretty. Yeah, it's not going full Cooper Black. But this is I new appreciation for Francis also. I'm learning a lot and appreciating new things. I might go try new foods tonight. I don't know. Today might just be a day of learning and wonder for me. This is quite the Friday you're introducing me to, Scott. I'm loving it. Let's keep this going. I get excited about ridiculous things. I know it's tough. It's tough to be on stream with this person, but you're doing great, Scott. I appreciate it.
So are you. It's beautiful.
Cool. So, all right. Yeah, this is looking good. Anything else we need to? Lucy's here. Hey, Lucy. Pineapple Pizza Friday. It might have to happen. Who knows? Who knows? All right. Cool. Where to?
Let's just get rid of this body margin that we have not gotten rid of yet.
Okay. Do we have a body?
We don't.
Okay.
The only thing I ever put on body is taking away the margin.
So you just remove
That's
from
it.
body.
That's the only thing.
Cool.
Cool. Now let's start putting things on this grid that we have set up.
Yeah, so you've set up a couple. It's on the asterisk. So you put on everything. We have these CSS variables.
Yeah, so we can pull that down anytime we want. And the reason why it's on everything is because then that can inherit grid properties from other places.
Okay.
And if it was just on the root, then it would not be inheriting other grid properties from elsewhere. So particularly nice for subgrid. That's not actually subgrid. It's just a thing that repeats itself. So I can set it up and be like, I'm inside of a context of 6 columns. And then I can set up kind of like a mini little grid in there without necessarily using subgrid.
Interesting. Yeah, this is I don't think the spacing helps me understand this here. This
Yeah,
list.
sorry.
No, oh no, it's not you. It's
Yeah.
CodePen's prettier implementation. That's not
Yeah.
you at all. I'm
Line
just
wrapping and stuff.
yeah. This is. I think I'll just understand it better when I see it and when I experience it. Like the entire way that I figure stuff out, and I think Adam in the chat kind of knows. No, yeah, Aaron, that's what we were talking about. Cooper Black on Pet Sounds, exactly. Uh, I like learn code stuff just through breaking it. Just going to people's code pens and breaking it, being like, all right, so why did that break that way, right? So like I kind of need to like just see it in action, see what columns is doing with so many variables and stuff, and like repeats and min maxes. I don't really know what's happening, but I will figure it out at some point. So I'm not worried.
So the reason why this weird grid exists is because I want to have margins on the side that get bigger and smaller but retain kind of a max width, but I also want to have it so photos and things like that can bleed into those margins and go up to the edge. So I can't just like create a wrapper. I mean, it could create a wrapper with like negative margins to push stuff over to the edge, but it's sometimes nicer just to be like, put this on the grid. And so that is why this grid exists and why it is slightly more complicated to make other things easier, because I want my photos to be on the grid, but like, you know, bleeding over to the side. So
like how
yeah,
this is cool.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, let's do it. I think I'll get it more as we're doing it. So got our grid set up.
Yeah, I think we have. Did I add a class to the entry lead? Is the class entry -lead?
Entry lead, LEDE, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ben's saying that he's been using Josh Como's tutorial for full bleed treatments with like CSS Grid. Yeah, that's definitely a good one. Thank you for sharing that, Ben. I'm excited to see this way and kind of like compare it for my own purposes. So this is cool.
So then this needs to be display grid.
So it is a legit CSS Grid. Got it.
Yeah, and then let's see. Then the image. I don't have a class on the image, so entry lead image. Yeah.
Is it child of?
Yeah, it's a direct child.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, I need a grid template areas on the entry lead. Grid template columns. And then that is from the grid, so I think it's just...
So it's just grid?
The variable
Something
of grid,
happened.
yeah. Yeah, variable of grid. Yeah.
Something happened.
Beautiful.
Cool. Intentional. All right, cool.
Took that David Carson masterclass. It's been advertised so much. Cool. So what is it? Grid column start? Grid? Something like that.
Yep. Thank you, autocomplete.
1. And then grid column end. And let's see. I like to use spans here. So like span 7?
Is that just 7 or is it parenthesis?
I think it's just 7.
Okay. Did that just work? Yeah, I think it did, because now these are shifted over.
Yeah. Let me just look at this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's still filling.
It looks like
inspect.
It looks like the gutters have collapsed. So why have the gutters collapsed?
Seems it's only happening at certain sizes, Scott. See how here it's pretty big, or it's normal, and then there it just snaps and they all come to the center?
Yeah.
Interesting. Is that our 900? No. This is 826. It changes at 800 is where it changes. Interesting.
Huh.
Checking out this grid thing. See, my brain just going, all right, where's the number 800? That's troubleshooting steps, right?
Yeah.
Let's max with 1200. Okay. Column 6. So again, chat, is my code here wonky in not the font way, but in the it's wrong code way. Good column start.
I
good
have
column
used
end.
this before, so I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, all good. This looks fine to me. Just make sure that. Actually, check the CSS inspector will tell me if any of that's wrong. Okay, so grid. None of those have like undefined values or anything like that, so that's looking good. It just refreshed for some reason. Not sure.
Oh,
why.
I just
Okay, got it.
added something.
Cool, no worries. Thought I did a thing.
I did a thing, and I'm trying to debug this.
No worries. Now the grid thing's broken, but I'm guessing you broke that on purpose.
I broke it by accident, but
Okay.
moving towards.
Moving towards not broken. We're on a quest for that.
Oh, I think I know what's up.
Yeah?
I think that the content is collapsing the gutters. And
Okay.
until we lay it out, it's
Okay, so
just going to
we should
collapse.
just keep going?
So, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Let's do. So at the bottom, we got like entry lead. Let's make everything under that sit on the grid somewhere. So entry lead, and then direct children. Yeah.
Cool. So what did we say?
Let's just copy the code from the
Image?
Image.
Cool. By the way, don't you love when bugs aren't actually bugs? That's always fun. When you just got to keep going. I'm glad it turned out that way. We didn't actually have a bug. We just thought we did.
I hope so. Still got to assess.
No, Scott. We're just gonna keep saying that wasn't a bug. This is what we want it to look like.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. How many spans are we doing for each thing?
Let's do.
Or how many columns are we spanning?
For the entry headline. Yeah, all this other stuff aside from the image. So let's write it so the specificity of the image wins over the star. And have that start.
Okay, so we got this image here. That's not sure about the gutter situation. If that's gonna open up, looks like we're gonna have gutters on the sides, right? For the large one, and then yeah, it looks like it takes up 7 for the first one. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can help. I can start putting numbers in. We can go from there.
Yeah, it needs to start.
Let me zoom out a little.
Let me, I'm just going to simplify this.
Should we just do like grid span or grid column span or no, what am I thinking of? Yeah, grid column. Is that the shorthand for it? Lucy, Scott did. Scott designed the website, and is that correct, Scott? That's all you. Yeah, yeah. And yeah, so we're just implementing it now.
I'm
right?
going to
really
yes, nice. I'm going to simplify this
Okay.
this grid declaration so that we can get going.
Cool. No worries. Yeah. So Lucy, the really cool thing about this is that because of the way Typetura works, we're essentially setting keyframes here to say what happens between 0%, which is our smallest end of a window size, and 100%, which we've set to 900 pixels as our max. And then we're able to say what happens as it scales up and down. So at its biggest, it can be large and have a thin weight. And then as it goes smaller, we're not creating like a bunch of media queries. It just smoothly goes into a smaller, bold style. So as you can see, like as we scale down, it just gets smaller. And I keep hard pressing and trying to look up words. You see how that went from thin to thick, all based on the keyframes here. So masthead is just handling that one, but the keyframes for primary headline, we're just tweening essentially between font size 1 rem, font size 7 rem, the weights, and the variation settings. So it's really cool. Lucy, it's actually I can show you the code and you might understand it more than me, which that's not saying a lot, but I think you understand this stuff better in general. You got a better brain. This is what the function is, and I'll put it up on screen real quick. So that is the function, and this. You let me know when you are ready, Scott. I don't want to hold you up.
I found the problem.
You did? But, cool. Okay. So, and we're just going to drop the docs here. And these are the docs for what those CSS values represent. Stuttering hard. Yeah. So that's how this is all working. It's pretty magical, but at the same time, not. So it's not like this wild, wild west kind of thing. It's all there. All right, cool. I'm with you, Scott.
Awesome. So the issue is on line 125. Forgot to put the gap value in there.
Ah, okay, cool.
That'll do it.
That's okay. All good.
Cool. So yeah, let's do column start, and then let's move that over to 7.
Okay, so grid column start for everything?
Yeah, for the star, yeah.
Okay. And then span, how much?
Span, let's do 6.
Okay.
And I'm going to bring the image a little bit.
Cool.
Because we want that to be like dead center.
Got it. Seems like we're do, let's see. Article, okay. Yeah, so the horse is still taking up a lot of space.
Oh, okay.
Just curious if that's
Globally, I'm just going to do an image with 100%.
That did it. All right. Or at least they made it smaller. It's not perfect, but it is. It's looking better. Cool. Interesting. But the image with changes. Huh. It's like snapping a lot. That's funny.
All right. So now we can move these over to where we want on the grid.
Okay. Hey, Ben Holmes. Welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for coming through.
So let's do span of 13 on the horse image. And
okay,
then
so on all images or just the horse image?
On the that horse image that we're targeting right now.
Okay.
Span
13. Cool.
And then I'm going to change, or let's do the it's hard not to get in here with you.
I hear you. All good.
The start on the all children to 13.
The start. Okay.
Yeah, 13.
How many columns do we have
14.
here?
Let's do 14. We have 24.
Okay. I got it.
Or actually 26. Awesome.
Okay.
And grid column end span of how many we got left here?
Start at 14, you got 26, you got 12 left.
12. So yeah, let's try 12.
Cool. All right.
All right.
We're getting there.
Yeah, that feels right. And now
the font
let's
just
say,
feels really big. Is that just me?
It does.
I'm gonna pop this in. So I'm gonna pop this in its own thing. I just want to see how it's looking as it's without the sidebars, right? Cool. Yeah, so the font's just a little big. Is that just a tweak we need to do on that?
Yeah, we'll tweak that in a little bit. So yeah, right now it's not querying the specific width because remember way back at the very beginning of the stream, we need to
where we are
apply
doing individual divs. Oh, the Typetura div?
Yeah, so we can do it a few different ways. We can add .typetura, or we can, what I would recommend is registering each of these components in that selector list at the top. So I think I probably need to do that on my end.
Okay.
Because it's...
Is that in the CSS?
It's in the
settings. Okay, cool.
The head for settings.
Got it. All right. We will see it once you've done it. So chat, what Scott's going to do right now is, I'll show you pen.new. I'll show them on my own while you work in yours. So Scott is going into the head, right? Into the stuff for head. And just editing some of the stuff there. When you work in a collab pen, you're not able to both access those bits because the CodePen settings are where you come to do stuff like add a JavaScript package, stuff like that. You don't normally need to go into this too much, but that's what he's doing. We'll be able to see that in just a second. I can show you for now, at least, what the head has in it. And we saw this at the beginning, but we're updating it so that we have the HTML of a few of these. So I'm guessing we're going to be putting in entry. Is that what you're adding?
I'm adding primary headline, meta, things like that.
Okay, so the actual like paragraph and span elements.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so I just added all of those.
Did I go past it? I might have gone past it. Let me see. Inspect. There we go. So it has to be inside the iframe, the head in here. So we're going to go in. Let's see if this is the script. Yes. So we see selectors. We already had .typetura, so that's an option. But Scott, why is it a better practice to go ahead and not add Typetura everywhere, but instead specify these?
It's not necessarily better or worse, but I think it's easier
It's just a
to add these components, so you don't have to really think, oh, did I add Typetura to that thing?
Cool.
It keeps all of your styles kind of concise and your markup more concise.
And you can do just elements like the P tag.
Any selector you want. Yeah.
Cool. All right, great. So we got our selectors in there, and just needs a window.typetura. And you pass it as selectors, or you pass an object with selectors as an array.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so now it should be aware in a sense, or it should be like, now that it has those selectors, what's Typetura doing?
So now it's I'm just adding removing some of the responsive behaviors so that we can more easily see.
So I can tell that this got smaller. So like this, it seems to know where this is now. Like
that's right.
So how?
There's the issue of the grid moving off, but if you inspect it, you see TT bind. So I said that was an auto-generated value.
Right. Oh,
so that's being applied to that.
Got it.
So we're changes as you're scaling it up and down.
So the JavaScript is essentially changing a CSS variable that is placed on the element, specifically based on its width.
Yeah, and then that feeds into that animation function that then gathers all your keyframes and interpolates things based on this particular value.
That's really slick.
So now that headline looks like that, but you'll notice that if you scroll down,
the others will look different. But chat, it's the same exact CSS that's being applied to both. There's no difference like that right there. So if you see this horse sure knows how to code. This is an entry headline, primary headline, and we've overridden the H1 bit. And then if we come down here, we have H1s down the road. We can fix that up. That's fine. But Trost's thing, so this is the same entry headline, primary headline that is. The only difference is that it has a different, and I'll pop this open over, I'll pop it open here. Only difference is the TT bind, because Typetura is going through essentially getting the width of each element that we passed it a selector for, and applying that bind on its on that element as a value. Is 378 the actual width of this element? Is that?
Yep.
Okay. And 907. So that's the only difference. That's the only difference that's happening between those two things to give them dramatically different styles. That's so cool.
That's just raw output from the resize observer as a custom property.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. What's next? I know you only have we're going till 3 on the stream, so you've got 23 minutes if you want to try to get this site a little bit closer to completion.
Okay. Let's see. Let's get some of the other entries down below a lot smaller.
Okay.
So
So just for reference in the chat, this is what those will look like when we're all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, we only have 23 minutes, so let's do what we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see, entry. At above entry lead, let's add a new entry class.
Okay, so all the way above.
So above, yeah.
Okay.
And let's do a width of scratch that. Let's leave that there.
Okay.
But let's go up to, what are all these under? Let's add a class of main.
Just above entry.
Yeah,
Cool.
cool. And within that class, let's pull in our grid stuff. So display grid,
Okay.
gap, and then grid template columns. So everything that's under entry lead. Yeah,
Got it.
perfect. So yeah, throws everything out of whack.
For now.
Under entry lead, let's make sure that spans grid column start at 1 and then span 26, I think.
Wait, for entry lead?
Yes, because we
Okay,
want
so
that
we're
to span the
giving-
full width, basically.
Okay, so we're giving entry lead its own grid column start and grid column end.
Yeah.
Nino Pepper says, I love this brutalist interpretation. So what are we starting and spanning?
We're going to span 23.
23.
20. Oh, no. It's... I'm trying to pump this up to... I'm working in the inspector to figure it out. 26.
No worries. Okay, cool. I love Nino Pepper's ideas. It's perfect. I realized you can't say it. He says, now show a weird GIF when you hover the text and the fantasy is complete for the Brutalist site version. It's great. All
Love
right,
it.
cool.
All right. So now entry, let's give that a grid column end span of, let's try 10.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
try 8.
I'm going to okay even more this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. And let's do, we're going to get some bad selectors here, but entry nth child 2. And then grid column start 2.
Okay. So what does that do?
It bumps it over so we have some margin.
Oh, so it's like a fake gap kind of thing? But well, kind of. It like between those two, it just gives it a bit of a gap.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And then,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
No. So, no. I'm skipping around just because my eyes are seeing shiny things. Let's stick with what you got.
And then for, let's add a class of trending.
Okay. Pop it here.
Grid column end span of how much we got left.
8.
24 minus 8 minus 8 is 8.
All right. Perfect. Perfectly proportioned.
All right. Let's make that 6, and then let's bump the other ones up 1.
Kill me with the perfect proportion thing. I even said it, Scott, and then put the other ones up 1.
It's too much. It's too much.
Too much. All right, cool. Looking good.
Yeah, it's this is where I would edit the easing curve a little bit.
Okay.
Because
These?
yeah, as you could see, the styles go increase in size way too much. So let's go back to cubicbezier.com.
Oh, okay. There we go. All right, so what are we doing?
And we are dragging the pink handle to like 80% of the way at the bottom X of the bottom, like just along the X axis, like all the way further.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then,
Interesting.
yeah, I think that'll be a good curve for this. So let's
And then we're
copy
done?
that. Yeah, let's copy that
Okay.
and use that as an easing curve for all these headlines. So that is primary headline, the class.
Nope, that's the wrong one. There we go.
There it
Okay.
is.
So instead of ease in out.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of, like, it's not just saying what two sizes we're going between. There's also a lot of like tweaking the cubic Beziers. You actually had a tweet like a couple of weeks ago that showed like Bezier curves and the proportion between the body and the headline, and I just thought it was just pretty interesting to see. So make sure we drop that in the chat before the end. Where I'm a little late on this one, Ben, but I appreciate that joke of the brutalist style, and then the life of Pablo the horse. Well done. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Antho, welcome. Thanks for coming through. Really,
We could
really
do
appreciate it.
a little movie, or what do you call it? Cooking show magic here. This isn't the horse demo, but it's the demo that I shared online that I dropped in chat. Alex?
So, in our chat, got it.
In Arch, yes.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, we can show that. Yeah, so I like the way you like tuck the things just off screen. Like it's a full width page, but then you've got these like the
You can hit the
easing
settings
curve
in it.
here. Yeah, so
Yeah.
chat, like this is what I was talking about. Where I'm like, oh wow, this is really neat. So that's essentially what we're doing here, right? Like that's
Yeah. This is like we started from scratch on this stream.
right.
It was ambitious to try to get a lot of this done, but this is, yeah. I'm definitely going to play around with it today and do a little bit more.
Yeah, but this
but,
really makes sense to me in terms of like, this is the relationship between your body text
Yeah.
and your headlines.
So these are the prepackaged products that we have that use our tech. So at the top, you can change the Typetura package. At the top of that
Got
settings
it.
panel. So like Saint Denis, really cool. Los Angeles uses pop-ins. If you want to try that.
Nice. That's cool. And headline size and text size.
Yeah, and all of these how to get away while you're at home, and all of the headlines below that again use exactly the same selectors. So those
That's
are the
cool.
same as the one at the top.
Right. Yeah, and it's just wild to me that this is still the same selectors as right now it seems.
Yeah,
Right now I'm not as surprised.
that easing curve is
Not so great.
low. How do I do? If you make it bigger, it'll start to be more dramatic. It still needs to be dialed in a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Got it.
But
No worries.
yeah, there you go.
I'm seeing it. Cool. All right. We got some crazy like margin or something going on here.
Yeah, that's because it's grid, and we need to make sure that the image spans a number of rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4 rows it needs to span.
Okay, when you said the image spans 4 rows.
Yeah. And then it also needs to start at a row of 1.
So row start and then row end span 4.
Yeah.
Cool. And we're getting our little multiply effect here.
Yeah, there we go.
Liking that. Still getting the padding thing, but it's looking better at least.
Yeah, so now that has to do with, what does that have to do?
What does it do with anything? Do they all have their own margin? Is that what I
They
saw?
do, so they need to have the margins taken out, and the there's a gap between them all, so that grid gap is.
Ooh, did I not drop that in chat? So sorry, chat. They're asking for Lost in Space or Lost in Place.
Lost in Place. Yeah.
Where was that? Lost in Place. Typetura.com. Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize I didn't drop that in. Just teasing all y'all with that really cool site. Yeah. Lots of people are saying, Ben, just like, wow, my mind's getting blown here. Well, the bottoms of the images lining up with the bottoms of the container is sharp. Antho, it's so good to see you. We're just working on some responsive typography stuff here. And yeah, thinking in the how will the font evolve in between screen widths equals easing curves makes so much sense. Yeah, like this makes a lot of sense for me in my brain.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. So so we had some margins to kill, right?
Yeah, so if you go down to line 147, or actually line 149,
okay,
there's gap, and that needs to be changed to column gap.
I always forget about column gap.
Yeah,
gap.
And then it's like, why are you there? And then the margins aren't collapsing because it's within grid. So there's the margins need to be reworked within that.
Cool. Should we put that off for later, or
yeah,
you want to do that now?
I am
lead. Just do
I'm free. Anything else you want to hit before?
Does that doesn't really fix
let's
it.
do
that just makes it worse.
0.05 rems space 0, or no, 0.5 rems space 0.
Cool. There we go. That's looking better.
Cool.
Got a little bit of overlap, but I'm so good with it for right now. Yeah, like we're definitely getting closer to this design. This design is just so nice, and definitely, I'm saying definitely a whole bunch, but this takes a lot of specific crafting. I assume you didn't just kind of like throw this down and it looked this nice, because this looks so polished in terms of I don't know, just the way it feels with the relationships between like this headline and this. I don't know. There's something about it that maybe I'm giving you too much credit, Scott, and you did just throw it together, but I don't know.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm excited to play with this more, and I'm going to finish this by next week.
You sounded like the protagonist at the start of a movie, like saying your determination, like I'm going to finish. I will kill the evil wizard.
I will.
I'm all for it. This is, I would love to see this. This come to life fully, because it's just super cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, Anto says he's sharing it to his Discord. Yeah, it's super interesting. Aaron says, I've looked at Typetura before and been pretty impressed, like a lot of what I see, but I was wondering how well it works alongside things like Tailwind, or is it only suited when you've got a styling framework in place? Oh, sorry, when you've not got a styling framework in place. Lunia, hey, what would you say to that, Scott?
I don't see any reason why it would not work with Tailwind. I mean, it doesn't work with the Tailwind class utility classes. It would be something outside of that range of things. But I could definitely see it supplementing that. In terms of specificity, animations win out. So it's likely to be a good progressive enhancement layer on top of whatever Tailwind has.
Yeah, just from seeing, just from what I've seen today, I would agree with where Tailwind, you can use it as much or as little as you want. I don't see the two like working, hand in hand where like you're using too much tail. I mean, I don't know. You could use certain things in here. Like I'm trying to think like could you do like apply? Probably not. Like you probably wouldn't want to
There's
do like text. I don't know what is it like LG or something like that.
there's one property that might work, and that you could set whatever your tailwind values as the sort of what the Typetura is scaling to,
Okay.
and then delete the 100% keyframe. So you're just always scaling from something
Oh.
because of the way CSS animations work.
Right. Right. That
They,
just becomes implied.
yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Alex?
Yeah, I think I cut out for a second. Is the
Yeah.
stream still going?
All right.
People
You're
in
back
chat,
now.
yeah, but is chat still back? Chat, let me know if I am alive and in this world. Just say anything, honestly. Yep. Thank you, Antho. Cool. That was fun. Everything just went bloom bloom. That was neat. But yeah, so I was saying, Aaron, I think it'll work right alongside it. It's not something where like you can't use any other CSS framework, but you're going to be kind of handling typography within its own thing. And then as you showed us, Scott, you can specify exactly which properties it's looking at, and then adding that class to, or sorry, not that class, that CSS variable to. So Aaron,
Yeah.
it's adding this TT bind CSS variable to it, and if you don't want to do anything with that, don't do anything with it, right? So like just because it's added to a thing, in case you're overly or you're not specific enough, you'll just have more things where a variable is added. Is that safe to say, Scott?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there are two ways to approach this. There's one, like we're creating our CSS here, which is what I do. And with this, all that you have to do when you're creating a new layout is be like, I'm going to throw a headline on this. So like, let's say if we created the article or entry page for equestrian,
Right.
we could just use that exact same headline and drop it on the page, which gets us into like how we create typographic systems at Typetura, like our prepackaged offerings. And you just take the headline component. If you go to product and then at the bottom browse pack.
Oh,
no,
cool.
you're right.
Product packages.
Yeah, there.
Cool.
If you go to product at the top menu, though, there's a way to browse packages. Cool.
Got it.
Yeah, so you could see like included components. There's the embed code at the bottom, and then all you're doing, like, it's the exact same approach to CSS that we were working through, but it's you drop in like, all right, this is a primary headline. I'm going to drop that in,
Right.
and it's just going to work. This is some meta information. This is small paragraph. This is large paragraph.
Right.
So in terms of working with like Tailwind or anything like that, it's stepping away from utility classes and focusing on the semantics of your content. And that's what excites me about this, because
Yeah, that's great.
Nicole Sullivan was talking about utility classes are like pouring concrete on your design, not like Tailwind-esque. Overusing utility classes are like pouring concrete on your design. Like, I think Tailwind is fantastic, and really you can get stuff up and running really quickly.
Yeah.
But this allows you to change stuff up on the fly underneath that layer, and talk about, all right, what does it mean to be a headline? And there's not much else underneath that. It just kind of works.
Yeah, I think you are kind of selling a typographic eye is kind of how as part of the package for why why wouldn't I just use the free ones? Like yeah, what you just showed us was entirely free. I can go use this on my site. None of this is what you are selling as like the as the LLC. This was all using open source. But then I keep confusing my tabs. But then this, where it's like you've come up with a typographic system 20 times over, and I'm able to pick this up and take this to a website and get these great relationships between the meta information, between the headlines, between the body copy. That's something really special and something very time consuming. And so, or just impossible for some people, right? Like, not just it's not a thing of like I need to saw a board in half. I can either pay someone to do it for me, or I can do it and it'll take me longer. This is like I cannot do some of this stuff just because I don't have that skill, and no matter how much time I throw at it, I won't be able to do it. So I think that's just I think it's a cool value that you are bringing to this, and I love. I honestly, this helped me appreciate container queries even more because of the way that you've kind of brought this to the browser before we can even have container queries, with the way that the JavaScript works there. So I think even when container queries comes, I still love this idea of keyframing your typography from one state to another. And one thing we didn't touch on, but I assume we can do, is like 50%, and then this has like some weird in between, and it's going to just tween through that, right?
Throw a color in there.
Really? I'm excited for this. What is this on? On the HTML. I don't know what's going to even happen at that point. Yeah, look at that, chat. Look at that. And then we come down. It gets darker again. That's cool. So it's just happening on anything that doesn't have a color. It's not at the top. But that's cool. Yes, you can put anything in there just because it's a keyframed animation, but also not using it as a typical animation thing. Yeah, that technique alone just kind of blew my mind. So, Scott, this has been super fascinating. Hey, Harold, thank you for coming through. Oh, we just got raided. Oh, no. Sorry, I missed it entirely. Code Spells, thank you so much for raiding. I really appreciate it. Sorry, I'm on StreamYard right now, so I'm totally oblivious. Thank you to people who come in and say hi, or someone who says raid, because I don't know. I'm on vacation and doing this. So everyone who just came in, thank you so much for coming through. Kenzo, take care. Yeah, thanks for coming through, Raiders. And yeah, I love the way, I love this way of thinking about typography, because it's so good. Yeah, sorry for missing the thing. I did not mean to miss it. Code Spells, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. We were just checking out some fluid typography with Scott Kellum. We're just about to wrap up, just kind of trying to tie a nice bow on it, because we went through some really cool things today. So Scott, you said that you were going to continue to work on this over the next like week or so.
Yeah.
Cool. So I was going to drop your Twitter in chat anyway. I wasn't holding that hostage. Of if you would have said no, I would have still dropped your Twitter. It's like, you're going to work on this, right? Nah, probably not. All right. Well, I'm not sharing your Twitter. But Scott might share that out. Scott is also in our Discord. I realize I don't have the Discord up on the screen. But Scott and a lot of people in here are in our lovely Discord. It's a very friendly place for talking about front-end development, all kinds, and even games. We talk about all kinds of stuff. So I hope to see you there, and follow if you want to see more stuff like what Scott just showed us, because this was, I don't know about you, Chad, but I learned a ton. I'm excited to dig into Typetura and just this different way of doing responsive typography. Because like you were kind of saying, Scott, yeah, I like how easy it is to do the tailwind thing of like class is just like MD font large, and then like as a fallback font base, right, or whatever. Like that's nice, but the big snap, the big jump between those two is kind of jarring, and I don't know. I love this technique. It's just super cool. So, any questions before we go, chat? Any? Oh, and Nino, you've been bringing some really great comments. I really appreciate you being here. It says fluid typography solutions have existed forever, but this allows us as designers to entirely rethink type. This is really awesome. Yeah, I could not agree more. Amit, so glad to see you. Amit is on Component Carousel this upcoming Wednesday. Make sure you are following. He's going to be bringing some fantastic stuff. So excited to have him on. And yeah, thank you so much to Scott. Huge round of emoji applause. I'm still learning Twitch, people. So whatever you do for something that you really like or someone you really appreciate, please give that to Scott right now. Scott, thanks so much.
This is really amazing, Alex. I really, really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your audience. This is fantastic.
They're fantastic people.
They're amazing.
I don't know how I got lucky with this group, but we've got a good group of people. So yeah, thank you to everyone who came out. And Scott, thanks again. Take care.